test the very nature of what is possible. That is what our mission is about, and why I think it's so inspiring to be part of NASA is because we do what others won't or can't, and sometimes can't even imagine. So it is really a great pursuit and an amazing part of why we do what we do. So I wanted to share a little bit about the culture transformation and how we keep building innovation in what we do. Thank you for celebrating NASA's big success yesterday with DART, our first spacecraft that was flown into an asteroid, Didymos. And as you said, I mean, the human feat and what it took to do that, and years of preparation and study, and the use of technology and innovation, and so many great ideas. So it's always exciting to see a success of a mission that has taken that long. And so I know we have a lot of excited people around NASA and around the world to see what science we learn from that amazing endeavor. So thank you for that. Now, we don't quite have our Artemis launch yet, but because we are unfortunately watching Hurricane Ian, so we've had to roll back our wonderful Artemis SLS rocket ship, but that will also be a very big milestone for NASA. And as you just pointed out, we really do require our people and our partners to consistently take risks and try new things and actually test the very nature of what is possible. That is what our mission is about, and why I think it's so inspiring to be part of NASA is because we do what others won't or can't, and sometimes can't even imagine. So it is really a great pursuit and an amazing part of why we do what we do. So I wanted to share a little bit about the culture transformation and how we keep building innovation in what we do. Hopefully you can all see that. So I thought I'd tell a story about our work through some pictures and how we're doing some things. So we could maybe spark some, or I could spark some ideas as you all are going through your various transformations. So here we are in the future of work. It is now. It is the now of, oops, excuse me. Didn't mean to do that. It is the now of work. And it is really, we're not going back, and we're going to keep having disruptions. And so we really have to really figure out how we embrace that and engage that and make that flexibility. We call it agility, but we also call it innovation, because we don't know. We can't predict everything that's happening. So we have to have a mindset that is open to discovering new ways to do things. So that's part of what we're trying to do with our culture transformation at NASA. I thought I'd start with a polling question just to warm up the audience, and hopefully that you will see this if you go to your polls. And there it is. Great. So only 4 options. What do you see as the biggest barrier to your culture transformation that you are working or pursuing in your organization? And I know probably people want to say, well, at any given time, I've experienced all of these, but what's one of the big ones that you're faced with right now? Okay.
So hopefully everybody's seeing the vote. Please make your vote and make your selections.
Great. They're coming in. Don't have too many. They're coming in. There's a few people. Okay, we've got at least one in each of the categories, and maybe not everybody. You can click on your polls and you'll see it there. You can see some of them coming in. It's fun. It's a way to see how our audience today, and I know that some of you will be virtually watching this in the future, but it really is. I've been asking this question as I network within our community. And it is all of these, right? At any given time, it could be about senior leaders not embracing, even philosophically, why we need this transformation, all the way to we don't have the technology to support the vision we're trying to get to, or the data is not accessible to the people who need it to drive more of the data-driven decision-making or information. So we really span all of that. Middle managers are critical to any transformation. The same people, directing and trying to get the results in the work, and now you're asking them to also help move the agency through our behaviors or the organization through a new journey of transformation. And that's a lot of burden to ask people to find themselves in their roles and continue. So I think that this is actually one of the hardest things that we as practitioners are doing, but it's necessary. And so I say we're in it to win it, and we're going to keep doing and learning from each other. And NASA's not unique. As much as I am so proud that we got named for 10 years in a row the best place to work among large agencies in the federal government, we have an incredibly talented and engaged and committed workforce. But we certainly have so many of the same issues that you all have. And we're still learning and figuring out how can we do this, because we are in unprecedented times, but we are also in many ways having to let go of things that have been successful before. That might be really hard, because when organizations really successful and the leaders have gotten to these senior positions because they've led to these successes, it's kind of hard for them to give up what's worked so well. So one of the things that I will start with is the why. So as you know, any good transformation has a good, compelling why. What is it about this transformation that our employees, our leaders need to embrace and get on board with? So the why is important. We found that, particularly for our digital transformation, which is where we're also really working the culture and workforce piece, that we have bucketed into work, workforce, and workplace, kind of simplifying. This is an enterprise. This is the whole organization. But the way we work has changed. The experience and the expectation of our employees has changed. And the agility of our workplace is no longer geographically bound. And so that has changed. So we actually gathered stories from across our organization and asked our employees to describe the work, the workforce, the workplace, and we put together vignettes. And these are just a sample of them, and they're a combination of people so that it's not just one person. But these vignettes are used to tell the story, and it gets really hard for people to argue that, because they see the work, they see themselves or parts of what they're experiencing in the vignettes and stories. So this is part of our campaign and our communication of the why transform NASA, because this is our reality, and people are really anchored into one or all of those three areas. So that's a good part to start with your why. Now you got to go to the what. Oh my God, Elizabeth, culture, that means so many things to so many people. Can you just tell me what it is? Yes, I can. And we created a framework. I'm big on frameworks because, again, they define an anchor into what we are actually doing to change the behavior to drive that transformation. So I also use strengthening culture. I find that when I say change culture, the change word, these antibodies come up and people get into their defensive posture. Like, why do we have to change? What are you telling me I have to change? I like the way it's being done. So I don't use the word change. I use strengthen. Nobody argues that a culture could ever be, could not be strengthened, or that's a good goal to always have, is strengthening our culture. So to strengthen our culture, we've defined the growth mindset and the digital competencies as our overarching drivers for the culture and innovation that we need to be successful in our digital transformation, as well as we're doing business transformation. We're doing a lot of different parts of transformation. And then I wanted to show you an example. Well, what does that mean? So we've got the what, the definition. We created a playbook, and it's a digital playbook. So people can go on our internet site and click on any one of these. I call them the pie wedges because it's a whole pie. It all has to work together. And they can click on that and find out three things. What is the definition? Then what does it mean behaviorally? And then how do I do it? So I'm going to take trust and innovate. Our example is, what's the definition? Put it in plain English. I'm an IO psychologist. I can use a lot of fancy terms. Put it in plain English and keep it simple. And this is one of those things. And little heuristics are really handy. So the 3 C's of trust: consistency, competence, caring. Without trust, we don't innovate. If you don't trust the people you're working with, you don't trust your boss or your colleagues or your subordinates, it's very hard to innovate because people won't take risks. They won't feel safe. They will question before they even bring their ideas to the table. So we built this definition to help anchor people on what do we mean and why is it important. Then we move to behaviors. And of course, you can't get change without some behavior change. Got to boil it down for people though, because they're like, what do I have to change? I like the way I've been getting perfect performance scores for the last 10 years. I don't need to change. Well, actually, we don't talk about you need to change. We're talking about behaviors and what we need to incentivize and reward to get our transformation journey underway. So I like the from to model. What is it in our current environment that our employees are experiencing? And that's not really where we want to continue to be, but where are we going? So that's the two. And you probably, some of these might resonate with some of you. The competitive environment needs to move to cooperative environments. Sometimes our very high achieving, talented people tend to get competitive and like, I'm not going to share my data. I'm not going to share what I learned because I'm trying to be the first to do this or win this. We don't want that kind of environment. We want cooperative and share data, share your knowledge, share what you've learned, share what hasn't worked so that we can all learn and grow and it can actually be part of the bigger puzzle that we're trying to solve for. The other one is the boss has all the answers. How many of us have grown up in hierarchical models now where the boss tells the people what to do, manages them to do it, and then, rates them? Well, we've moved away from that in this new digital world where networks and collaborations and people work across, again, boundaries of what org charts look like. And so we need to embrace the employees have the answer. We hired them for their smarts, their talent, their skills, their interests. We need to unleash that and bring that. That is a from to, and that is something that's a very, very big journey we're under right now to try to move that. So I thought that might help as some of the behaviors that we're doing and why it's important, because we want to create that psychologically safe environment to innovate and take risks. Then finally, the actions. So we had definition, behaviors, and now actions. And I really like behavioral nudges. You probably have heard of nudges because I do believe that taking small steps leads to big things, and probably not many big things didn't start with some small steps. And people can take small steps. Sometimes they see the whole big thing and that looks daunting and impossible. But if you start with small steps, you can see the progress and you can, again, get that engagement. And I really do. I love the nudges because I kind of like some of these, even read them and look at them and say, oh, that I could see using that. I could do that. That's doable for me. And that's what we want. We want people to see themselves in these behaviors, in the culture transformation that's going to really progress us to unleashing innovation and unleashing our great talent toward the mission that we're all working on every day. So I would even say that like one small nudge by one supervisor is one giant leap toward culture transformation. That's my little NASA reflection, but it sounded better when I was practicing it, but it really is. It takes small things to create big change. So that's a little nugget there. So let's go to polling question number 2 and see where you all are with some of the things that might be barriers to what you are, trying to operationalize in your culture transformation. So which describes your current posture or how you're feeling your organization is situated in your transformation? And I know you all wanted me to put all of the above, but I didn't put that because I wanted to force choice a little bit around sort of, well, we're mostly in this area. We're mostly in this bucket. So go ahead and hit that polls and share with us where your organization may be struggling with or just feeling it right now. I don't have anybody in the we're in it to win it, but I'm not surprised. And we don't have too big of an audience. So maybe if we had, more of a spread, we'd see some folks. I have talked to people, and you have too, that their organization is really bought in. We've got to do this to really be viable in the future. And so we certainly have seen examples, but we're all we're in different places. And I think that really is reflective of, it's a journey. It's not an endpoint. We're going to continuously have to bring along our organizations and our leaders and make sure that they are embraced with this. Okay, so I've talked about the why. You need to have the why. Talked a little bit about the what. Break it down for people so they can see themselves in the change and take those behaviors. Now let's go to the where. Where are you transmitting the information about the transformation, your culture, and these wonderful actions that everybody can get involved in. Well, for this example, we chose to use our learning management system, which we call Saturn at NASA. We use a lot of space terms and their acronyms, because of course government agencies love our acronyms. But we chose our learning management system to put our whole access so it's easy anytime, and all of our employees and our contractors, 2/3 of our workforce are made up of contractors. They can go on here, and we created a digital academy. And this was really literally 2 clicks. You launch your Saturn, your learning management, and right at the top where I put the red arrow is we call it a tab, where you can go and it comes straight to the digital academy. And what I'm going to show you is we highlight front and center culture and innovation. This is not just technical learning. These are not just obviously we have artificial intelligence, machine learning, we have human-centered design certifications. We have a lot of things to build skills that we need for, in particular, our digital transformation, but culture and innovation. And I was listening to the previous speaker, John, and I know that many of the sessions during this wonderful Tech Fest are really talking about the people skills. That we can get the technical skills, but if we don't also bring the people skills along, that is really not going to be detrimental to our embracing all that is powerful in technology data, but also are just surviving in the digital era. So this is really important. So there's a place that people are like, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't get it. And so this is a place where our playbook is there and different resources. And it's a nice thing because it's a learning. It's the whole idea that this is part of we are all learning together. So we have it on websites, but having it in our learning management system also really evokes oh, okay, I can learn. I have more things to learn. I'm interested in learning this. And there it is right there, easy to access. So think about the where on your transformation journey. Next is the how. So this is getting to okay, you got the definition, the why we're doing it, what it is, where we can get involved and find out. Now, how are we doing this? I love this example I wanted to share with you, and it's called NASA at Work. And it is literally an open innovation platform that is internal facing for our entire workforce, including, again, our civil servants, contractors, and interns. And really, it's a place where anybody, regardless of role or rank or position or the team you're on or the occupation or the center, the geographic center that you work for, can come onto this platform and get involved. So our hosts will either pose a question or pose a challenge. So a question becomes a dialogue around something somebody is trying to work on, or they are searching for something. They can pose a question. What I really love are I love both of them, but the challenges. So they set up a challenge and saying, we want anybody to put together a team or even an individual, and we'll have this challenge open for 2 months, and let's see what solutions we get from posing a challenge. And so you can see this is my Welcome Elizabeth page. I just logged on to NASA at Work, and it welcomes me. And then across the top, I can participate. I can look at past successes. I can look at current campaigns, and there are even resources there for if I want to get on participate in a campaign, I can find other people who might be interested in forming a team, and then we can work a team to one of the challenges. And I think this is really important, because if you don't create the how in real ways, then again, we end up going into our organizations, people in organizations end up in their stovepipe, going to their team, the people they know. And what I'm trying to transform the culture is to much more collaborative across the agency, and also multidisciplinary, because your team of engineers maybe got these great solutions, but if you add some scientists and you added someone from finance, hey, even maybe somebody from HR who can talk about the people side, or an organizational development expert who can talk about some of those aspects. So we want these multidisciplinary teams to come and be part of these great solutions. But if you don't create a place for them to find each other and drive them to what really gets them excited is find the challenge that really gets them excited. So it gets them motivated. You kind of, again, go back into your org structures and hierarchies. And this is where I love the hierarchies, because again, I've got teams with GS, or we call them the entry level, GS7 or 9, which is a entry level work with the senior levels, with the 15 managers or even executives. And so they get exposed to different levels and different types of work. So I think that is just a great demonstration of how do you get these teams collaborating around the work. And so we had a couple of examples, and these slides are available to all of you, so you can pick through them and at your own leisure and with more time. And really talking about like something like as great as the International Space Station. So the manager posted a challenge looking for new research to send up with our crew and to actually conduct on the space station. They got 28 submissions. They selected 10 of them, which are now in the process. Some are already at space stations. Some are on upcoming payloads that are going to be going up there. So how cool is that? And they looked at the data and they found that they saved 3 to 5 years of time that it would have taken to integrate that work if we hadn't done it on this platform and in a, again, enterprise cross-agency collaborative forum. So you can just start to see the return on the investment, plus that we connected people who would not have connected around these particular research interests. And now they're going to get the benefit of the data and the research to go back into the labs and so forth. So this is really an exciting way to see it become real. The other thing about who is inclusion, we announced that at NASA, we were going to we did add a 5th core value back in 2020 of inclusion. So everything we're working on, we always stop and think, is there a way to be more inclusive? Are we addressing inclusion and of course belonging and new voices or voices that haven't been heard? Are we getting all the ideas? So again, creating this platform, NASA at Work, we are able to bring many people across NASA together and bring their ideas forward. So although I just showed you some examples of where the scientists and engineers are using this platform readily, it's not just for scientists and engineers. It can really be anybody. And so I just went on there and I wanted to show an example that's open right now. And we're calling it our Valued Veterans campaign. And so we have, of course, a hiring veterans and also resource groups and development programs for our veterans that are in our workforce. But we decided to launch a new campaign this year, and we need a new logo. So anybody who has an artistic talent or likes to play with graphic design, anybody can now create our new logo and put it on this challenge. And then they're going to select a winner, and it will be announced on Veterans Day in November. And we're unleashing a new campaign for our valued veterans. And how cool is that? That anybody at any level, not just who you know, or you happen to be in, one of our communications groups or marketing groups, it's anybody. And how exciting. And we've seen interns actually get really engaged on these and bring their ideas to bear. And some of their solutions are the ones we select. So I just get really excited by that because I see the inclusion and the creativity that is actually blossoming because we've put more and more of our work and our needs in this kind of a platform and not keeping it in the silos or the places that we've always gone to for certain support. Now, to really go beyond the who, we also believe at NASA that while we have an incredibly smart, talented, and engaged workforce, we don't have all the answers. We will never have all the answers by the people who are paid, or on our payroll or on contract to NASA. So why not unleash the talent of the world to these big missions and these big solutions that we need, these big complex problems? So we have gone beyond, and we now have, and we've been, actually this is our 10th year, we started in 2012, running an annual, the largest global hackathon, and it's called the Space Apps Challenge. And you can go on to the link there, I shared it there, where we are engaging across the world teams around 20 challenges that NASA, the employees at NASA came up with using NASA at Work. We honed the challenges for the Space Apps Challenge through the platform I just showed you. We got those. We realized these are the things we want the world to engage on. And what we do is we provide our open source data to these teams, and then they get together. It happens to be this weekend, and they all come up with solutions. They might be a team of 12th graders at a high school around one of the scientific or mathematical challenges. It might be some group in academia. It might be a private sector company, or even public sector. It could be a multitude. And that's what I'm really excited about, because I think crowdsourcing some of our nation's and our world's largest problems is probably going to speed us up and also connect us with others who are working on the same challenges, so we can actually share much more about what we're learning and doing, and then populating that out to actually accelerate the kinds of change. So I really believe this is also part of our culture transformation. Is we don't want to hoard just at NASA, and you can only do this if you're at NASA. We want to promote. I would love everybody to have a NASA experience and not have to work at NASA to feel you've had a NASA experience, because it is so inspiring and game changing. And so to me, this is making our culture come alive. And also through the how and the who, we can actually embrace so much more toward our mission. So I will end that with, if you don't know our mission, it is extremely exciting, because it is to reach for new heights, to reveal the unknown for the benefit of humankind. And so to do these kinds of things, from internal all the way to external, we really think we can engage everyone in what we do and how we do it. And that is part of us changing, shifting our culture to this: how do we innovate? Well, we can't innovate just in our bubble, but we got to do it more broadly. So I just thought, I hope I sparked some ideas with you today. Those are my remarks for you. I hope you enjoy the rest of the HR Congress Tech Fest. It looks like a fascinating agenda, and it's just been great to share some of the work we're doing.
That's been absolutely fascinating, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. And there are certainly a few questions. We have time for one,
okay,
maximum two. So one question is about, how did you get to create engagement on NASA at work? What was challenging or easy? Were people seeing it as the top of their regular role and originally? So what was the way to get people buying and engagement with NASA at work?
With NASA at work, yes. Well, it's very important to get the communications out and get people. It's almost like an internal marketing campaign, if you will. So we hosted sessions. We have monthly supervisor sessions, for example. So we would talk about it. We'd have people we get the early adopters, we get some emails, and we start to send them, here's a new challenge, here's a new challenge. They would then send it to their network and say, hey, join me in this challenge. So it's that exploding the network. You get some of the nodes, early adopters, they bring in their people, and pretty soon we have a mass on the NASA at Work channel. But we still have agency-wide announcements. We'll do emails. We now use Microsoft Teams, so we have Teams channels where people are like, hey, what's going on in this area? The other thing we can do is people can sign up if there is a challenge in something they're interested in, like designing a new space patch or the value vetter. You can have the challenge sent to you. So that's another good thing of pushing out specific areas of interest, because we know we all get a lot of emails. But if I know that I'm interested in these things, and it will just target those to me. So there's some different methods to getting the word out. And we rely on our people, a lot of people, and just talking and getting the buzz going. That really has helped us. So I think a multi-pronged marketing and communications campaign has really helped us.
Indeed, fascinating. And of course, you need to create engagement where people want to engage with in terms of content. And that's critical. Very interesting. Another question, how would your organization ensure that there is a cohesiveness amongst diverse teams for mutual benefit and overall growth?
I think the question is about, how do we ensure that we have diverse teams?
And how do you ensure that there is a cohesiveness amongst these diverse teams?
Oh, well, that's a very good question. I mean, that is part of opening up to more diverse ideas, is that psychological safety, so they don't get shut down, but they're welcomed in, so that people who might be, say, not in the discipline and they're on the multidiscipline team, we really have some training and some tools where the leader has to go around and ask everyone for their input, so that nobody feels like they are not welcome to speak up. We, of course, have many things. We have a whole strategy around increasing our diversity, equity, and inclusion. That is something that we need to do. We need more diversity in our STEM fields, of course, but also broader. So bringing in people and saying, we want to hear from you is something we're really working on. So we're not bringing in people just to say, oh, yes, we had, a diverse team. What did they say? What did they contribute? Did they feel that their voices were heard? Did they get that sense? We've been doing pulse surveys. Do they get a sense of belonging, and did they feel heard? So we're doing some pulse surveys to, again, loop back some feedback on, are we actually bringing the diversity to the table?
Brilliant. Elizabeth Kolmstetter, thank you so much for being here with us and taking time for this amazing session. And with this, we conclude the first day of the Asia Congress Tech Fest. Thank you very much, and we certainly stay in touch.